as Dot Todman. Dot is a celebrity vocal empowerment coach. She works with singers and actors and speakers um, from all ranges, right? Beginners to pros. Mm-hmm. So today I'm in Dot's studio in West LA, and she's going to tell us about what a vocal empowerment coach is. But first, I'd like her to talk to me about, or tell me about her background and what had you choose this line of work, and you know, all of those things that brought you to this point.
Okay, well, let me try to put it in a nutshell because I go on forever about that. But basically, when I was 12, I started getting acknowledged for songwriting, and it was kind of unexpected, but I was put in positions to lead choirs. I led a 90-piece choir when I was 13, and from there, I just sort of naturally was teaching, and I didn't really think a lot of it. And so then I went on to school. I went on to get a degree in psychology, actually a minor in psychology, a major in theater arts education, and then music, media music composition as well as a teaching certificate. And it's the reason I have all those degrees is actually because I couldn't make up my mind.
Right, that happens.
So yeah, I kept changing it, and then they're like, well, you just need 20 more credits here, and you can have a degree here. And I'm like, well, maybe I should do that. So really, it was more about me trying to make up my mind than anything.
But they're all relative. Really interactive. Right?
Yeah.
Like even
psychology. It really,
because there is a psychology about using our voice as an empowerment tool. Right.
Before I created C.O.R.E vocal power, I used to use the term singing psychology because I realized that what you're thinking and what your thoughts are have far more of an effect on your voice than you realize. But it took me a while to kind of come into my own, and really, even though I was getting paid to sing professionally since I was 15, I wasn't really empowered as a singer. I just sort of thought, like, maybe they like me because they're depressed, or maybe they're like, I really didn't acknowledge what I had, and it wasn't until later.
Right, and that's what that's why you do it. You mentioned C.O.R.E, vocal power. What does that stand for?
Yes, C.O.R.E is actually an acronym. I don't know if you can see it because that's really tiny, but
C.O.R.E.
If you think of C.O.R.E, like if I just say to you C.O.R.E, what do you think of? What's the first thing that pops in your mind?
Well, like the core of an apple, like the center.
That's exactly what I think of. You said apple. That's so funny that you said that because a lot of people don't say that, but you're like me. I think of the center also, and C.O.R.E actually is something that I figured out after my operation, where I had an 8-inch scar from here to here, basically, from doctors making a little bit of an error on me. And so my C.O.R.E was actually shattered. But what came to me through the acronym was C. C stands for, C is really the most important one. That is what, if we do at the deepest level, we don't even need the O and the R and the E. But most people, they get scared. And I don't know if you have any guesses, or if you already know what it stands for, but probably do.
Well, you know what? The first thing that came to mind, not even at the time, because I chose to not look that up I looked up a lot of things about Dot, but that was one thing I just allowed myself to not know what C.O.R.E was because I wanted to know. However, when I look at your body of work and what I know about you, I suspect it means connect.
You're good. You got it right. Woo! Yes,
that's
totally.
That's what I think it means.
C stands for connect. Right. Very good. Yeah, because and first off, when you say the word connect, it's like, well, people think, well, connect your song. Well, there's a lot of things I want to connect to first, and the first one is myself. How do I do that? Do it with me. Just take a breath. Yeah. So we're connecting to our breath, and we do that 21,600 times in one day. And if you think about it, if I'm looking at negative things all day and taking in negative and not feeding myself with positive, my vibration is not going to be where I want it to. Right. So my job is to help people connect to the part of themselves that's going to help them feel empowered.
Yes.
And so the C, again, standing for connect, well, as we know, we're like onions. We have many layers.
Okay. Didn't get that one.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
That's awesome, though.
So, we go through all these layers, and sometimes we get to a point where we're like, oh, and stuff will come up. And so I teach people how to connect to the earth, be grounded, connect to your heart, be centered. And so we're creating a space to sing from as opposed to just jumping right into to singing. It's like I want to, like, a lot of people can sing great, but they're not really feeling empowered in it. Just like myself, I mean, I didn't really know who I was or what I had until I was able to connect. So that's the C, which took forever for me to explain. But
no, but that's good. That's it, because I think that really is the core. You know, of, like you said, the C is really the part that's the main part. And when you connect, then the other parts, do they just tend to unfold then?
Exactly. Like, because the O stands for objective, and all the actors know, you have to have an objective. You have to know what you want. But I teach you also have to be objective.
Oh.
Most people don't realize that. Most people aren't, like, they're like, oh, my voice stinks, or you know, some people think they're greater than they are, but most people actually, you know, in all these years that I've been teaching, I found that most people think that they're not as good as they really are, because they're scared to be one of the people that you know, think that they're better than they are. No one wants to be a fool and be all, oh, you know.
Well, we all watched American Idol, or you know, we've all
I knew
seen
you were
those.
going to bring that
I
up.
know, we've all seen
you know,
those
those
auditions.
people are deceived, right?
Yes,
like they
I
go
do
through
understand
three
that.
different, you know, auditions, and the first one they do, the judges are like, oh, that's great, even if they're not good, because they know it will make good TV. So by the third time, by the time they get on TV, they've had 3 months to think they're great by judges, and then they get Simon says, you sound like a dying cat. And they say, what? No, I don't. I'm great, because I've been brainwashed by your people for. So sorry, American Idol, but you know,
exposed.
it's beautiful to see lives transform and change, but I just feel bad for the people that, again, well, if I really know, if I have an objective, if I know who I'm singing to and why, but if I can be objective, I'm not going to fall into that trap, because I have a realistic perspective of who I really am. How do I get that perspective? Well, first I have to connect to myself, right? And so there's a lot of self-awareness. It really is about self-awareness. I'm kind of asking people to, I mean, take a look at who you really are. If you expect people to love you and you want people to love your music, well, then I hope you love you and you love your music. That would be helpful, wouldn't it?
Right. Well, to be a star, you have to really embody the star within yourself and really believe that about yourself.
Yeah, and people don't. They think, oh, I can just, you know, I'm great and everyone will love me, but it's like, that's not real. So if you want longevity, I like to teach people to have longevity in their career, and to survive and to thrive, you know, off of who they are. So that's the O. Then the R was the funnest one. You can do it with me. I want you to do it with me, because this you have to experience it. So,
great.
Put both feet flat on the ground.
Okay, my feet are flat.
Make sure your spine is straight.
Spine is, okay.
Can you feel your belly button right now?
Yes, okay.
Okay, good. Can you feel your heart beating?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, always.
Can you feel your feet?
Yeah.
Good. I want you to focus on your feet, taking a loving breath into your belly, and then just go, What'd that feel like?
Almost a vibration throughout my body.
Yeah, that's not awesome? Did you like it?
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Cool, sweet.
It reminds me of meditations that I've done.
Yeah.
You know, where we're doing, you know, vocal meditations, where we're just chanting, or we're doing, you know, the ohms and that one we're doing chants. But it's you feel it in your whole body.
That is so true.
Yeah.
And you know, can I talk to you a little bit about this? The reason I love resonating, I never used to teach resonating before. I was taught, you know, old school, like breathe from the diaphragm, you know, and I was taught classical. I had that foundation and took all the sightseeing classes and all the theory. I hated it. But you know, I got through it. But resonating, like, they don't really teach resonating. It wasn't until I had that operation that I mentioned, that I call really my second life, like recovering from that was like me learning how to rebuild my body. And I did what you just did. I went, like, you know, when you go, that's when you agree, or you resonate with someone, you align, you're agreeing with me. What I figured out is if I just go, do it with me, ready? Yeah, did you feel that?
Yes, I felt it.
Sweet.
I love
it.
it.
See this guy right here?
Yes.
I knew about this before the operation, but I have to be honest, I kind of thought it was weird. Like, I mean, I didn't.
Well, because it's the chakras, right?
Well, yeah, I love the rainbowness. I love my rainbows.
Right.
But what the heck is that?
Right.
Well, I found out that in each part of your body, sound can resonate more. And when this area, for me, it was the O and the U and the A that were like totally thrashed up, okay?
Right.
Like 8-inch scar, like 36 staples along my stomach.
Yeah.
They nicked my bowel by accident. I don't even want to go into it. But this left something need to be healed. Everyone knows that singers need to have
they need that.
this area. And so what happened to me was I was sitting on my couch one day feeling bad, feeling crappy, to be honest with you. And I just went, I thought, you know, what's that thing on my wall? Because I actually had this drawn on a chart like that over there. And I thought, I wonder if that works. And I just went, oh, and as soon as I did it, oh my gosh, it was like this world opened up inside of my belly. Like it just, the cells just started moving.
And healing was happening.
I couldn't believe it. I just started bawling. I was like, there's a world in there. So I realized the connection to my voice and the power that I had to heal. And that's how I knew that the R, the resonate, was so important, because when I went, I not only created this wonderful, you know, nitric oxide that is released in the body when in small doses is a natural antidepressant. I didn't know about that until Dr. Oz said it on Oprah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, but I knew that I could feel something, and not only did I feel that, but I also was able to know that my cells are actually alive and that I can influence them. I can validate them. It was like someone just give you a hug and said, "Oh, you're doing so good."
Connecting.
You know?
Then in a way, that's connecting, right?
Exactly.
Because you just connected to your body in a way that, you know, you actually facilitated your own healing in a lot of ways, right?
Amen. That's exactly what the system is. I connected to my soul too. I connected on a mental level. I got clarity. I was like, oh, on a soul level, I felt good, and then my voice actually is more powerful now. My voice literally got bigger. I've always had a fairly big voice, but when I started doing all that toning, oh my gosh, my voice just went boom, like it went to a whole nother level. So I was able to package that and take that to my students, and they were going, oh my goodness, like these people with little voices would come in, and then I teach them how to tone, and they'd start to cry because they didn't realize, you know.
Absolutely. Because when you connect with yourself for the first time, it's where you feel like you're one with yourself, and there's something that you're not separate from anything at that point. I'm going to cry about it because I know what that feels like. I know what that feels like, and it's amazing. And that's partly why I wanted to talk to Dot, because that was one of the things that throughout my life and my own personal development was finding my voice. And you know what that looked like, and you know, you hear that, you can read it, but we don't always know what that means, and it really is an experience. You know, you can read about it, but it's something, it's an experience.
It is, because you get to feel it, you get to enjoy it, and you get to know. And when you connect at that level to the power of your resonance, when people come up to you after you're singing and they say, that's so good, and you're not like, oh, you're just saying that. Like, you know, because you've connected at that level. And that's why I keep going back to connect. Well, connect with my objective, be objective, have one, resonate, right? I connect to my resonating power. And then the E is simple. The E is where everyone wants to start. They just want to jump right into the exercises and go, okay, let's do nay, 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 you know, let's just do these exercises. And it's like, but if I don't have the awareness of being connected, like not just deep breathing from the diaphragm, I don't want you to think about breathing while you're singing. I want you to have that into your, automatically, like into your essence. You're breathing with every moment of your life because you're you, and you have that program to ground and center. And so you don't have to think about it when you sing.
But that's a lifelong thing. That's not even when you're, not necessarily when you're singing, it's in all of your life, because I know when I'm afraid, whenever I have a fear come in, it's because I'm holding my breath. And the first thing I do is I hold my breath. So I quit breathing, and that's a very typical thing. Many of us don't breathe. And we probably don't breathe near as deep as we need to every single moment. So if you have that core understanding and practice of knowing what it means to breathe, and then what that does for you when you're connecting, it transitions out into the world for whatever you're doing. And that's because you're using your voice. You'll be using your voice then, right?
Absolutely.
You're breathing. You're connecting with yourself, and then with the people that your audience. You're connecting. You know, as a singer, you're connecting with the audience. When you're connected they're connecting to you.
Thank you. Absolutely. It's like I can have the vibration. If I have the right vibration, the audience will feel, they're always going to feel what I put out. But breathing is really at the root of it.
Right.
And I'm glad you mentioned, because, for me, I actually have trigger points. Like I'll tell my students, okay, because I know you're going to go back to your other ways, because that's kind of how we do. We're going to go where our default is.
Right.
How can I help you set up a default that doesn't default to like, oh no, right? And so I use, like, for example, I tell them, we'll do it when you first wake up. And that's your quiet time. I call it quiet confidence time, connecting quiet confidence. And so they breathe, and then it's like, well, what else do people have to do every day that they can connect this with? What's something you do every day no matter what? Or you'll die.
Or I'll die?
Yeah.
Well, bathe, for one thing.
No, you're not going to die. Are you really going to die?
No, I'm not going to die. Well, I don't know. Drinking water? I don't know.
Okay, good. You drink. So before you take a drink, can you take a breath? Can you remember to breathe? Okay, what else you have to do every day or you'll die? Don't say brush your teeth. People say that all the time, like, brush my teeth!
Yeah,
like, that's a good one. You can connect it to that.
Yeah.
But what else?
Eating.
Yeah, eating. So, sometimes people pray, like, before they eat. I say, well, just breathe. It's going to help with your digestion. It's going to help with your metabolism. And it's going to, oftentimes we're eating, we're putting all this stuff into our body, and we're on the phone, we're typing, we're doing all this stuff, and yet we expect to be able to sing, and what's coming out of my mouth is supposed to be so incredible and wonderful, but I've just shoved all this stuff in without respecting. So your breath is sacred, so why not just take a breath, even if you do 4, inhale, exhale, and just inhale, hold, exhale, do my 4 before we eat, breathing right before you eat. So that's another one. And then what's the other thing that we all have to do when we die? Just say it.
Oh, we have to use a restroom.
Thank you. Yeah. See, it goes in this end, it comes out the other.
Yeah.
So why not? Why not connect your breathing to that? Why not just, even while you're doing it, you're on the can, and you're like, inhale, hold, exhale, let it all out. Why not?
You have time.
If it's gonna, because that's the thing. Our society's so busy. People don't even want to stop. Like, I'll tell my students, hey, spend 3 minutes. And they half the time it's hard for them to even do that, but they're like, well, I did when I was in the shower. I did it. I'm like, that's great. It's good that you integrated it. But what would your energy? How would your cells feel if they knew that you were feeding them love just for 3 minutes a day?
Well, it's self-love. It's a really wonderful way to love yourself. And then, to me, when we were talking about the eating thing, that when we do the 4 breaths before we eat, that's a prayer.
Exactly.
That's a prayer without saying anything. It's because it's honoring yourself. And in honoring yourself, you're honoring the space, you're honoring the food, you're honoring your presence. Yes, excellent. Okay, so we've got C.O.R.E. We've got the C.O.R.E.
Yeah.
Yes. So when you work with your students, how do you, because we all learn differently, like we learn differently. Some of us are really auditory, and some of us are visual learners, and can you talk about how you work differently depending on, how do you recognize that?
Well, before people, sorry, go ahead.
As they come in, how do you determine?
I have them fill out a questionnaire before they even come in, because I like to really individualize it. So they fill out a little questionnaire, and I look at their brain. But I have to tell you, just by listening to them sing, like if they're not scared, and like if they're scared, I won't make them sing at the beginning. I have other ways to find out. But I basically, the first lesson is a lesson assessment. So I give them a lot, like I practically overstimulate their minds with things so that I can see where their weaknesses are and where their strengths are. But the first thing is if they're more right brain or more creative and left brain. So I don't know if you saw the spinning lady on my website.
I did. I love that.
Yeah.
I can tell you about an experience I had with that.
Oh yeah. What were
you so there's a spinning lady on Dot's website. It's just a video of a woman. I think it's a woman spinning. And I just looked at it and I thought, oh well, she's spinning clockwise. And I didn't know what any of that meant. But I just noticed that she was spinning clockwise. But then I started reading about what that meant. So when I looked at her again, she was spinning left. She was turning the opposite way. And I couldn't get back to the clockwise turning.
Because you're probably trying to figure it out and analyze. Yes, you were on the left side.
When I first looked at it, she was definitely spinning clockwise. So it's a wonderful, and I'll give you all this on my website and after the show, all of her links, because she has some wonderful stuff on her site.
Thank you.
Great.
Well, yeah, I discovered that spinning lady actually quite by accident. That was an accident because a friend of mine, just sent an email, and I thought it was so cool that I had it on my desktop. And a student was in my studio, and they were singing, and they were looking at that thing. And every time, and just for fun, I said, "Well, where do you see that lady?" Because I couldn't get over it. I thought it was so cool that people saw it spinning differently. And they said, "Well, it's spinning to the left." And I noticed that their singing was just not quite where it needed to be. And then when I got them into a space doing my other interactive, like call and repeat stuff and all the crazy stuff that I do, it started spinning differently for them. And what I learned, then I started thinking, could this be a clue? So I did over 100 different students. I did this big study. And what I found was 90% of the time, depending on how they're wired, but for the most part, when the lady was spinning to the left, they weren't present. They weren't, it was harder for them to sing. They either had a pitch problem or there's a slight delay, because they're trying to sing, they're like, okay, I don't quite, they're not using their MI or their musical intuition. Good job, see right brain people say. Yeah. You are more right brain, but you've got the balance. If you see the lady going like this, like if you see her going from side to side, they say that that's a balanced mind. Or if she goes around one way and then she flips around the other. The problem is a lot of people have that, but they don't quite know how to make it work for them yet. Right. So they might be singing and all of a sudden they'll go bloop, like they'll just go off pitch, or even guitar players. I had this one guy, he was such a brilliant guitar player, but he would have what I call a brain fart. Well, he was like, he'd be playing and then he'd have to sing a harmony and he'd just go off pitch. And he was in like a band, like a big band. I'm not gonna say the name of the band because I'd get in trouble, but anyway, he would go off and he couldn't figure out why this happened. And this was during the time that I was doing this study. Every single time he went off, lady was going to the left. So I had to create something to counter that, and that's part of what I do. I actually rewire people's brains. I help them create new neural pathways in their brain so it doesn't go the old way that creates the drama. I make them go in a new way. And it's kind of hard to explain how I do it, but what students tell me after I do it, the left brain people, like after they're done, I'm like, how do you feel? And they're like, oh, really? Oh, I need a drink, They're like annoyed by it, or they're like, that was weird. They say that was weird. The right brain people are like, oh, that was so fun. Oh my God, let's do that again. I feel like I'm 5, That's right. And so, it's funny. But most people are kind of like, the left brain people, I have a way of, I deal with them just a little differently. You have to, some people they're born right brain, but then, our world is so left brain. It really is. And so they get kind of swept into the world, and this is logical, and you need to do this way. And then they get into the music world, and they realize this isn't quite working for singing. And so they have these problems, and they start to rediscover that artist that was there when they were like 5 or 4. Wow. I bring them back to that space.
I love that. Because I think we are programmed, where our school systems are set up very left brain, So it's nice to be able to just let go, because it really is, you're in a childlike state in a way where you're really connected.
It's vulnerable. Yeah. It's so vulnerable, but you're so present. Like, when you were a kid and you go, na 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 na, and you go, na 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 na, da 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 da. Like, you can get in that state where you're not thinking about the next moment, but you're there. That's the same genius within you, or your musical intuition, like I like to call it, that same genius that's able to compose something like off the cuff, or freestyle, or just be able to recall the lyrics. If I'm worried about, I can't remember the lyrics, like all those things, those are the things I address. But there's also drills, like the E and core is important too. People have a lot of tension in their neck, jaw, tongue, or they have things, when they're trying to shift into, their mixed area, their voice starts to tighten. I work through all that. I teach stylization and all the other aspects too. But I always tell people, it's not just what you do, but how. And if you're always having anxiety issues every time you get up to that B, where you're going to go into your mix, then that's programmed in your brain. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what drill I give you. If you're tripping, if your mind, so having an understanding of your instrument. At first, my brain, needs to be centered, needs to be clear. And then my soul, I need to feel safe in here. I need to feel okay. And then lastly, my voice is going to respond. to that. If I do not feel safe, if I do not have my brain wired right, I'm not going to be able to sing. And that's why so many people, like if coaches are just focusing on, here's your voice, you're not hitting the mix, okay, you're hitting the wrong note, hit this note, no, sing it, and the person's going, oh, and they're not singing the right note. Because it's wiring, it has nothing to do with your ear.
Right.
And so I'm hoping that more people that teach just realize that. I think a lot of coaches do. I think just like me, they kind of go through their own journey and they hit their own walls, and then as they discover their voice, just like I did, then they were able to share it.
Right. When you find you're obviously always learning. So,
right, exactly. Haven't stopped.
Right.
I'm still.
And so you come up with new things, and you see the connection.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a genius and then you can present that to the people that come to you for empowerment. Because so when we're empowered, right? How does that look like? I mean, when they come in, does it give them more confidence? How does it benefit them to come and find their voice in their life? Whether it's how
I get emotional because I love that part of my job. But I have to just say one thing. My students teach me far more than I could ever teach them. They are my teachers, they really are. And so when you talk about empowerment, like it's, I'll give you an example. I have like these little acronyms, if you notice all over. There's BAT, Breathe, Align, Trust, and C.O.R.E, and there's CHASE also. But one of my peaceful agreements is I give myself permission to be who I am now. And I invite singers, I say, singers, actors, speaker, whatever they are, I say, look, you don't have to do this, but this is something that I found, it really helps, because if you ever have a problem with anything vocally, I guarantee you're probably not doing agreement number one. I give myself permission. So then I have them say it, and a lot of times people cry. They're just like, I give myself, and they start to cry, and I'm like, wow. And so the transformation that I see, it's something, and sometimes people don't even want to say it, or they'll say it, I give myself permission to be who I am now. But they're not happy because it's like, I don't want to be here where I am now, I want to be better.
Right.
But it's like, I learned from my surgery that I have to be okay with who I am now. I don't have to dwell in it. I can imagine what my body felt like when it felt well. I can use all those things that I saw in that movie, The Secret, which I watched a million times after my operation. I was like, okay, what are they doing? Because I really want to feel better. That movie helped me a lot, but it's not until you really go through it. And so seeing people go from being shy, not being able to, I mean, I've had car salesmen come in here that feel, or women that come in here that feel like they're undergraded at work and that they can't speak up for themselves, and they come in and hi, and there's just a whole new light about them. Sometimes people's voices actually progress before their brain realizes it. It's so interesting, if the soul, if you see that diagram over there, I know that's not on camera, but see how it's like a peace sign, that if the mind can get the clarity, if people just do the things I give them, what happens is, sometimes people that used to be really shy, they'll sing and their voice will be perfect, but they haven't quite realized that it's that good yet. And so they'll be like, oh, and they'll expect that their voice is gonna not be good, and it will, and then they haven't, and then they hear it back, and they're like, they're in shock. They're in shock, and then people will be like, did you get your hair cut? You look different. My students come in, they're like, Dot, people are asking me what I did different, and I didn't do it. I'm like, honey, it's your aura, okay? It's your energy. You're more confident. Look at you. And they're like, I am, and and sometimes they realize it. But I'm just saying, all these different personalities, and I just cry because it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful.
To me, that's the part that, in all my travels of life, have brought me to that point of finding that voice and really how connected once you get connected with yourself. What that does for you in your confidence, who you are in the world, you shift how you respond to things in the world. I'm noticing in my life, things just don't bother you like they used to. You tend to be, because you're so connected, or you're working on the connection with yourself, that you really understand that as you are, other people are as well, and it gives you, there's all this permission that we're all having in our interactions. To me, and that has been my experience. So I love that part about being empowered. So what kind of people come to you? We talked a little bit about that, but can you talk to me about your clientele, your student body?
Well, without naming them.
Right,
because
without
I
names,
have
of course. No,
some
because I know
the
we
ones
live,
that
we live here. In
yeah,
yes,
you know, they
live
make
in
me
LA.
sign these
Yeah.
documents that are
Right.
like 10 pages long, which I
Right.
just love to sign.
But what kind of people?
But no, I have all kinds of people. I have like kids. Oh my gosh, I love the kids that come in here because they're so free. And well, some of them are. Sometimes even the little kids are already like scared to mess up. But I have kids that come in here. I have people, just everyday people like you and me. I had a businessman that was like managing. He just wanted to learn how to talk to his clients and how to be taken more seriously. And so I showed him a few simple things with grounding, and like I have world-renowned speakers that come in here that like don't want to lose their voice, that have like damage. They're like, hey, can you help me? And I'm like, yeah. So I show them. It's a lot of, it actually is a lot of this, and honestly, even though this looks to some a little bit like, what the heck is that? I'm like, no, this is just energy centers. They govern different organs. So what I do is when people sing or if they go, ah, like I can kind of hear where the tensions are held in the body, and so I open them. But more importantly, I give people an awareness within themselves about their body, so they know how to listen to it and look after it, you know. And of course, all the foods to avoid and all the typical things that you learn, like the physical parts. But I also help them with, okay, if their mental clarity is a bit off, or their energy, like they get anxiety, or sometimes people think, well, I can't talk, I have problems speaking, and then they're fine. It's like, no, you don't. You sound just fine. What's your problem? It's in your freaking head. So we work on the brain. Oh, and by the way, I can't sleep. You know, I've helped people with insomnia. I've helped people with, and I'm not a doctor, obviously, you know, but I've helped people with high blood pressure, to heal their high blood pressure. Gosh, I've helped people with drug addictions and smoking addictions and stuff, to shift them and to, but it's like when they're ready, you know. I don't make people, I don't say, well, you need to quit this or you need to do this. I'm like, just let me know. You know, I used to be afraid to work with smokers because after my operation, what I learned, something really important, we artists are very sensitive. We all do not, most of us don't understand boundaries because we're artists. So we're like, oh, we love you, and we're just so like, if someone feels bad, we'll just take it on. As a teacher, I was doing that. And for other teachers out there that might feel like, yeah, I mean, how come my students feel great when they leave, but I feel kind of weird? My second chakra took on a lot of my student stuff. And so understanding boundaries and being able to own your energy, like all of these things that no one really talks about, but we all experience, that's the stuff that I ended up doing. And I had no idea my business was going to blossom into that, or I was going to attract those kind of clients. But it just sort of happened that way, and they just keep teaching me. They just show up.
And so you work with them on all kinds of levels then?
Whatever they need, yeah. I mean, I've even had people with spasmodic dysphonia that have come in. That's where you're like, your voice, like you can't, your voice kind of doesn't really exist. And doctors say, well, there's no cure. And I've helped a few people with that condition be able to regain their voice. I've helped people shrink nodules. I had a lady with a polyp the size of a mushroom, and she was like, she used to be a smoker, so she quit. And she came to me and she said, Dot, you know, I don't want to get this surgery. The doctors are going to operate. And I said, well, so I changed everything. I changed her diet. I changed a bunch of things in her life. And well, she really changed it. I just told her to do it, and she listened. But she came after 3 months. She went back to the doctor, and he did the little, you know, thing where they stick the camera. I forget what that's called right now. But anyway, it had shrunken 50%.
Wow.
And he said, what are you doing? What the heck? He said, she said, Dot Todman. And so he said, let me get her info. I haven't heard from the guy, but so yeah, it pretty much any vocally related problem, you know. And then I've had autistic kids come in with learning disabilities. I don't know. I should probably narrow it down because I pretty much, there's a lot of, you know.
Well, you include everyone. You include everyone, and you know, they come in because it really is they're coming in for their voice, or they're coming in for their whatever issue, right? And then they're having these other kinds of healings that happen for themselves when they open up to their voice. Is that what?
Yeah, it's like, it's really opening up to really authentic self-love. I mean, that's really what empowerment is. You know, I mean, I always had a powerful voice, but I wasn't empowered. And so C.O.R.E, if you think of C.O.R.E like we talked about earlier, you said it was like the apple, it was the center. So if I look after my center, then my vocal power on the outside, that is going to come through. That's going to be powerful. So inner, core, vocal power, outer. And our world is so the opposite. It's like, look at the outside first, and then I'll look after me. And I believe that there is a shift going on, just as you believe, this whole paradigm shift. And that's why, if you look at my logo, like I've got the upside down treble clef.
And it's a heart.
It is. It's a heart. And the reason why, if you look at, like, it's also a brain.
Yeah. Oh, yes, it is.
Yes, because the treble clef, you know, the ladies sing those notes, right? So that could be like the right side of the brain, symbolic, and the bass clef, that's the dudes. And the reason the treble clef is upside down is because that's the shift. Right now we're shifting into a whole new awareness about the divine feminine and allowing things instead of making them, like going out in the world. I tell my students, don't sing out to people and go la. I said, that's so invasive. Why not la? Experience your beautiful energy.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just like saying, come here. You know, you're bringing them into you.
So much easier. So much easier. I just sit here in my little Dots Voice Studios throne, and all the people come here, and I bring them up into the palace, and I say, let's sing together. You know, you don't have to go out and push yourself into people's lives. Just allow it and create that within yourself, and then watch it unfold.
You have been an amazing guest. I could go on and talk to you forever, like I say, always. But you know what? I'm gonna have the after the show blog, and I will have all of Dot's links, resources that Dot recommends, everything. This is so much fun. I want to hear you sing.
Oh yeah?
Would you take us out?
Sing with me.
Oh, okay, so I'll sing with you.
But before I do that, can I say something about my workshops?
Yes, your workshops. I want to hear all about it. Yes.
Oh, well, thanks. I am doing, coming this February, small group classes. It's on the stage, but it's not going to be like the scary, intimidating American Idol, like, you know, I'm Simon Cowell, we're going to judge you. You're going to get the skills that you need, but you're going to be in a group of supportive people in a supportive, fun environment where you get to discover your core and learn from others. It's cool because a lot of people think, I'm alone and I'm this, and like I hear the same story from like 10 different people every day. They're all telling me the same thing. It's like, if you guys could just get together and see that we're not much different, we all feel the same. So that's why I've created the workshops, and vocal-workshops.com is the URL, www.vocal-workshops.com.
Okay, and they can sign up there?
Yeah, and if, well, right now we're just taking, join the interest list, but probably by the time this broadcast and whatnot, you know, we're daily changing.
Because February, right?
Yeah.
This broadcast in February.
All right.
Wonderful, excellent. What else is in your pipeline?
Oh, lots of fun stuff. I'm creating new products, so definitely go to dotsvoicestudios.com or corevocalpower.com, and the products are like a lot of what I talked about, interactive course online and learning how to resonate. Like, that's huge. Just even if you don't even think you're a singer and you just want to like learn how to resonate and breathe properly, that can change your life. Right. So I'm packaging that to help people, because a lot of it is on this core CD, and you can get this at corevocalpower.com, and you know, you get basically all of core. You get how to connect and breathe, you know, how to resonate, and then the exercises. But now I'm going to be zeroing in on, okay, let's focus on resonating. So there's a lot of products coming up ahead, and other things that we'll have to just stay tuned to find out more about.
We'll just bring her back. We'll bring Dot back when she's got new things happening. So how exciting. So we can, we'll see you all next time, and as we go out, Dot and I are going to sing.
Oh, cool. What are we going to sing?
I don't know, darling. You show me.
We can sing my trademark.
Okay.
Say just sing. Say that.
Just sing.
Yeah. So that's my little thing. You know, people always say, I'm doing this right, I'm doing this right. And I say, just sing. Okay, now church, you ready? Just sing. Lovely voice. Now together. Just sing.
Nice.
Yay.
Yay. Thank you, Dot.
Thank you.
All right. Perfect.